What's going on, Awesemo fam? It's back together. It's Friday. We got the band here. It's Alex Baker, it's Gundacker, and it's me, Eric Lindquist, here doing MLB Live Before Lock. We're going to get you set for this 14-game massive DFS slate that we have here on tap. Before we get going, Alex, how's everything going over there?
Dude, I got a nice little 14-game slate, so I'm pretty excited. I got Coors, got deGrom, some other great pitchers on today's slate, so that should be a fun one.
Gundacker, you got to do it for us. Here we go. Trademark moment of the show.
Here.
That's so good.
No, man, I'm happy, dude. I feel like every night this week I've just been praying at pitcher, and tonight I feel like I got some ace caliber stuff, so I'm ready to lock and load.
Yeah, we certainly do. We certainly do. Also, I'm happy to be doing anything to get me out of the crypto streets right now. Every night I go to bed, I get poorer and poorer and poorer, and it has not been an enjoyable week. So in order to be able to put food into my mouth, please hit that like button. Definitely hit the subscribe button. The subscribe button goes a long way. Therefore, I can feed my future children one day as well. That goes a long way for us. And also, just for the heck of it, hit that notification bell too, so you know when this and all the other content here at Awesemo is going live. We've got stuff going around the clock. We've got a big UFC card on the weekend. There's so many things you don't want to miss. And so just by hitting that little bell, you can know when it's all going live. But as you said, we got a 14-gamer. We got a lot to get to. We're going to be going position by position today. So let's just kind of dig right into it. Sitting on the top end of pitcher, we'll start over on Draftkings as I'm looking at it. I guess we'll just jump between the sites, but we kind of have four aces that just kind of stick out above the rest with Jacob deGrom, Clayton Kershaw, Tyler Glasnow, and Yu Darvish. Figuring out what you're going to do with those four is a very important characteristic of this slate. Spent my morning over looking at the top pitchers tool, which is free today. So you definitely need to take advantage of that. But looking over at DraftKings there, we've got Jacob deGrom obviously getting the most ownership out of everybody. Glasnow coming in second, Clayton Kershaw coming in like third there. It's pretty much just as stacked of a pitcher slate as we've had for a Friday since we've been doing this. How are you looking at doing things today, Alex? Talk to me a little bit about deGrom. I mean, he's just kind of like a can't miss guy, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's had insane performance so far this year. So, this year. Anyway.
No, Alex.
Whoa. Mind blown. Galaxy brain play. Oh, man, we're going to have fun today. This is great.
So, did I say it right? Anyway, going up against Washington is not the best matchup in the world, but he's got the stuff to like make any matchup look good. So on the year, 49% strikeout rate over 20 innings is probably the best I've ever seen in a 20-inning stretch. However, it is kind of like beyond the bounds of what's possible in baseball. So I'm not getting too excited yet. I think that they just don't have prices high enough for deGrom. So 11K at DraftKings isn't really going to make me not play him. But I don't know if he's essential. I just would probably spend down at pitcher instead of trying to find another high-priced pitcher if I was going somewhere else.
I did see a fun stat the other day, and I'm not sure if it really is applicable to talking about him as a pitcher, but in his 3 starts this year, he has the most hits on the Mets. In each one of those games, he has 3 hits, which is more than any other person on the team. I mean, the guy just can't get a break in terms of run production, helping him behind. But as you said, just kind of pushing the bounds of what's possible. 14 Ks his last 2. Gundacker, how are you feeling about deGrom today?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm happy to get aces on the slate, and it's a massive slate. 14 games. There's going to be value here and there. Even if I got a complete 2K punted catcher, 1 outfield spot, I don't want to feel like I don't have the best pitching available tonight. So I don't think it's going to be that hard to glue them in there. But, yeah, there's plenty of pivots and other upside guys, right? We're going to be on Glasnow. You mentioned Kershaw, Darvish, even, Sonny Gray's in the conversation. And there's a couple of guys in the mid-tier that probably are not outside of a reason to play as well tonight. So, deGrom's in a great spot, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a must-have because there's plenty of options to go around.
Yeah, another one of those options sitting right below him there. Clayton Kershaw, facing kind of a murderer's row of righties when it comes to Machado and Tatis. But I thought it was fascinating going through San Diego because apparently they have the second lowest K rate on the entire slate today, which is pretty astounding coming off of last year. But I guess Tatis getting back in that lineup is kind of a big deal to maybe help out and get some Ks, maybe give a solo shot here or there, but you got to think that that's good for 1 or 2 for Kershaw. Throwing that slider so much, 46% of the time this season, looks like he's in good form, but Alex, what are you kind of thinking in terms of his like K prospects? Is it viable enough to be going down to him, hoping that, he can spike a little bit of an upside there with Tatis back in there and some of these other Ks in the lineup?
Yeah, there's definitely upside. Kershaw is a fantastic pitcher, probably a little bit better as a real life pitcher versus fantasy these days. His strikeout rate this year so far is 25%, which is about the league average this year. So I'm not going to blow you away with strikeouts. Unfortunately, that's the main way you score fantasy points. So I do think that the salary difference of 10.9K to 10.2K from deGrom to Kershaw isn't enough to pull me to Kershaw at all. I think strategically it makes a lot more sense to, if you're fading deGrom, just like avoid that whole high price tier altogether.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I guess I do like taking some shots. There's some other spots where you can go to Kershaw, maybe on Fanduel where you're saving 1,500. Maybe that's a little bit more important. But as you said, deGrom just kind of just sticks out so much on this slate. Let's go to Glass now then too. Gundacker, what are you kind of thinking of what you're going to do with Glass now right now? Going to that same top pitchers tool over on DraftKings, somebody who's also garnering a little bit more ownership than what his chance of being a top 2 pitcher is. But if you can afford 2 of those top dudes and put in a cheap stack with them, not the worst way of going today.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see what I can do with a Glasnow deGrom lineup, but obviously there's a range of outcomes where Glasnow scores more than deGrom today. He has extremely filthy stuff, 16.5% swing and strike rate this season, K rates almost at 40% to both sides of the plate. He's very, very hard to hit. Blue Jays have a couple guys in that lineup that you do fear their name value, and I know they're going to project as a lower strikeout team, but sometimes the math will offset in the pitcher's favor here, and he's throwing some dirty stuff. I'm gonna have a heap of Glasnow, and like I said, I'm really interested to see if I can make some Glasnow deGrom lineups with a bunch of 3K specials.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but on a 14 gamer, you do have options. I will say that much. But let's go down into this mid tier a little bit. Is there anybody in this next like 9K range, 8K range that you're kind of looking at? Brubaker's somebody that we talked about before. Minnesota does have some Ks in that lineup. He's pitched very, very well. We talked also last week about how you can play both sides of any kind of a matchup, and that seems like the Minnesota Twins are the prime suspects for such a thing. But does anybody stick out for you in that mid range, Alex?
The 9K range is pretty tough to get to today. One guy that I think there's a couple of guys that you can look at. The first is Sonny Gray. He's always a great DFS pitcher, someone that doesn't get enough credit. I know our boy Ship My Money is like all about Sonny Gray. Shout out to Adam. So today, the matchup for St. Louis, they're a pretty bad lineup, but they don't strike out a ton. And Sonny Gray, I think this is he had some injury, if I remember correctly. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to collect all this information. So he only has pitched 1 game so far.
Mm-hmm.
Only
he had a back injury is what I believe it was. He came on the 10-day, pitched on the 17th, and went, how many pitches did he go? 71 pitches. So hard to pay 9,300 when you can go up for the certainty of a 95 pitching deGrom or somebody else in that upper range. I definitely agree with you there. Do you kind of have those same sentiments, Gundacker? Anybody else that you might be wanting to take some shots on?
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by Sonny Gray. Would love to feel like I'm getting a pitch count that I can bank on a Friday night, but put him in Busch Stadium, a little bit more pitcher friendly here. if the lineup comes out, I mean, the righties, I like to see righties, but the righties that the Cardinals have are really the scarier bats. Another guy I was a little bit intrigued with, we're dropping down a little bit to the 7K area on DKAK on Fanduel. Sandy Alcantara has been really, really good so far this season. A 15.4% swinging strike rate. XFIP Sierra, about 3.64 on the XFIP, 3.37 on the Sierra. 24 innings pitched. He's got a little bit of sample size against lefties. That's where we've seen really both sides of the plate, a 25, 28% K rate. He might be somebody I kind of throw in the back as an SP2 to give me a little bit of salary retrieval with the strong SP1 and maybe some beefier bats.
Salary retrieval. That was a nice one.
Is that a word? I don't know if that was a word.
Alex, I didn't mean to cut you off. Anybody else that you were looking at there with Sonny Gray? Anybody else that kind of sticks out for you?
Yu Darvish is a good pitcher. The match versus the Dodgers is a big negative, but the park factor looks solid. The over/under in this game is only 6.7. With the adjusted for the odds, so I don't see him as unplayable. But if I'm going to spend down, I want to really spend down because I see some good options in the mid range.
Yeah, let's get to those. I'll let you talk a little bit about, I think, where we're kind of going in that direction. Sandy Alcantara up against San Francisco. Seems like he's garnering a little bit of ownership, maybe 11.7%. Again, that tool is free today, the top pitcher tool. So definitely jump over there and take a look at it. But we've got a couple of these 7K guys. I think Luke Weaver, somebody who's got a lot of leverage going towards him. Obviously a difficult matchup against the Braves, but if you're going to want to be spending up on some bats, you're going to have a couple uncomfortable spots to take some shots on here too. Kikuchi had some strikeouts earlier in some of his earlier matchups here and faded off last one, but maybe some shots against Boston as well. Who are you targeting in that 7K range?
So I think Sandy Alcantara is definitely a standout option. He has a 28% K rate. And at this point in the year, with 24 innings under his belt, I think we can feel confident that his strikeouts are going to be pretty decent. The matchup versus San Francisco, not a team that's going to get a ton more strikeouts, but they only have a team total of 3.9. So that's looking really appealing. And on the other side of this very game is Alex Wood. He only went 61 pitches in his first start of the year, but the numbers were really strong. And he did go 5 innings, so I'm kind of wondering, like, maybe he could have gone up to 70 if it didn't just kind of land on that even 5 innings. So I'm being a little bit liberal with my pitch projection for him. So I have him for about 70, 75. Kind of giving him credit for maybe 10 more pitches than where he could have landed last time. He's a guy that, by all metrics, is pretty average, but then the matchup versus Miami is really good, where they have a ton of strikeouts in their team, and Sandy Alcantara just like can't bat at all. He's like an automatic strikeout, so that's always nice to have. His career strikeout rate, for reference, is 72%.
Yeah, it's that's a large number. I was going to say that's not great. Gundacker, how about you? Is that kind of the same feelings you have on Alcantara? And then if you want to come up with any of these other cheapies down here too, I guess we should also touch base on FanDuel. I do find it very interesting that because of the price tag, I'm assuming it's a lot because of the price tag at 12.5 for deGrom. He's only ending up optimals, the top pitcher, 10.4% of the time on this slate. So I think taking some shots in this mid-range is definitely viable over there. Anybody that you have your eye on that you might want to be taking a shot or two on over on FanDuel?
So I'm in full agreement with those guys. To save some time, I think Oscar Inoue of the Braves might be a little intriguing. It looks like he got extremely unlucky in that last start. The metrics still grade out pretty solid. 7 hits allowed with 6 earnies and 3 bombs against Chicago. I'm willing to go back. Like, this is just kind of I want to say a longer shot guy in 100 lineups or something like that. I think he would probably make the mix for me because I do think the metrics say he's better, like he's good. 14% swing and strike rate. The ground ball rate is really, really good in the Sierra and XFIP, both under. I got 2.62 on the Sierra so far and 2.45 on the XFIP. So more of a hunch play, maybe no more than 10% or something like that. But all the other guys Alex talked about, I'll probably be with, and Alcantara is probably my favorite mid tier guy.
Love it. If you guys aren't able to catch any of our shows here on Awesemo, make sure that you hop over to the Awesemo Podcast Network. If you leave us a 5-star review over there for any of the podcasts that are listed, you have a chance, if you leave your Twitter handle or your email address, to win a week of Awesemo Plus Platinum just by signing up there. One winner will be awarded every Friday, and reviews will be eligible up to 1 year. So good luck with that. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe on those two. It goes a long way for us, and we will continue on here. So going to the catcher position on the top end, looking at Sal Perez, garnering a bunch of ownership up against your boy Casey Mize, who we talked about a little bit last week as well, Alex. Maybe not your favorite prospect, but has been kind of surviving of late, from what I recall. Looked pretty darn good 2 games ago against Houston. Got knocked up a little bit, gave up 3 homers there against Oakland, but a righty Sal Perez going there. Curious what you think about him, Real Muto. Any other catchers you're looking to pay up for on this slate?
Yeah, I think Perez is a pretty solid option. He's been raking this year. His ISO is 279 on the season so far. Price tag of 5,500 is a little bit untenable, I guess. But if you have the money, he's batting high in the order. Has a decent matchup. Casey Mize is he's just not like a elite pitcher at this stage. So I think he's kind of a raw prospect. Usually a catcher, I'm kind of looking for guys that are batting high in the order compared to where they normally are. One guy that really jumps out is Tom Murphy for Seattle. He's a guy that has a lot of power, and for some reason he just isn't kind of that highly regarded. But he is batting 6 in the Seattle order, and he has a 2,700 price tag on DraftKings, 2K on Fanduel. I do see the ownership is extremely high on him, but that'd be my cash catcher.
Yeah, I like that too. Dom Nunez sitting there at 3,800 in Coors, but will probably garner a little bit of popularity from that. Actually, 4 homers on the year as well. One of the higher guys grading out for me. Anybody else down there in the mid-range to lower range for you, Gundacker? Anybody that you really kind of see sticking out? Also on Yahoo, it's so jarring to see Mitch Garver at $8. It makes me very, very sad. Continue on.
Yeah, no, I'm Murphy and Nunez are projecting really well in my power chart. Salvi's 4th, and then I have Jacob Stallings 5th and Gary 6th. So Gary Sanchez is, I think he's batting 5th, and that's kind of high for his sake. No, he's batting 7th. That just came out. Maybe chipping and cherry Gary Power, but other than that, catcher is probably going to be the top 4 guys, and then probably guys that fell into a stack for me, with Sean Murphy being interesting as well as Tom Murphy. No relation, probably.
Probably no relation. Also, are we on NBA Live before lock? Because Mike Trout just got scratched.
Yeah.
So that was hurtful to see. I don't know how to react to that, but there is such things as that. So if we want to go that to the bottom bar, let the people know, Tyler, that Mike Trout will no longer be able to be your guaranteed home run. Let's go over to first base. Looking at the top end there, Freddie Freeman, he's pretty good at hitting baseballs. Obviously, up against any righty on planet Earth, you're going to want to be targeting Freddie Freeman on any pitcher. A good guy to get to, but 6,200 on DraftKings, gigantic number to pay. Jose Abreu, Trey Mancini, Vlad Guerrero, who is starting to come alive a little bit this season. 383, 4 homers, 12 RBIs, 1.16 OPS. Like I really like what Vlad's been doing of late too, but terrible ballpark in Tampa. Probably just a part of the stack. But who sticks out for you on the top end, Alex?
Well, I think the top overall is probably CJ Cron for Colorado. He's batting 5th and it's in Coors, so those are really good numbers for a $3,900 player on DraftKings. A little bit pricier on FanDuel at $3,800, but He has a lot of power as well. Probably the best power hitter on the Rockies. And I think this is his first year in Colorado. So he's been, I'm pulling up his stats right now. Last year for Detroit, he had a 357 ISO over 52 plate appearances. So that's not really a big sample, but the previous 2 years he averaged out like 230 ISO. So I only expect that to go to the moon now that he plays for the Rockies.
Part of that Bomba squad for the Twins. Definitely miss him. How about yourself, Gundacker? I definitely agree with that. Rhys Hoskins. I guess let's even just pivot it. And how are you kind of looking at handling Coors today? Obviously they're going to project out phenomenally well. We have 14 games. I just always am curious to hear how players go about projecting what they're going to do in those kind of situations. Gundacker?
Yeah, I'm stacking Coors. I'm more on the rock. I'm Coors both sides. I mean, I'll probably be
Hot
even
take.
with the field. Yeah, I know. I was excited to tell Matt Olson, and then
it's my guy. It's my favorite guy at the position today. I think he's also playing over on Yahoo. $16. After a pretty abysmal 2020, the guy is just raking right now. 5 homers in his last 7, starting to really pop again. So I love the Oakland A's. The top projected stack over on Yahoo as well. Can you tell I'm playing on Yahoo today?
Sounds like it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, to wrap up the first base thing, yeah, Matt Olson is one of my favorite home run calls today. Probably going to be my favorite first baseman. But to answer your question, yeah, I'll be stacking Coors in every which way. I don't really see. I feel like I'm a little bit more on the Philly side for upside, but Velasquez versus lefties, I'll definitely have a little share of Ryan McMahon. And then a couple of these Rockies bats are just way too cheap. Raimel Tapia leading off at that price, and Coors, they still haven't adjusted for that. And then Alex talked about CJ Cron. He's way too cheap for the opportunity before him too. And Velasquez probably not someone that is going to go super deep and can get into that bullpen and pay off nicely. So yeah, Coors is looking like a good spot tonight. And there's been a lot of nights so far this season where I just didn't touch Coors, and I wasn't but tonight looks like a night where I'm actually going to be excited for Coors.
Yeah, Alex, do you kind of feel the same way? It looks like not going crazy owned, and part of that is being a 14-game slate. There are a lot of places to go in a high variance sport. How do you feel about Coors tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Coors is always the best conditions for bats whenever it's on the slate. Sometimes having a 14-game slate, because the ownership goes down, it does sometimes make it more appealing. So right now, looks like the Rockies are very good ownership compared to their chances of being the top stack, and then the Phillies as well. So I'm really not seeing any reason to not go to Coors tonight based on that. But then it comes down to the individual players, I guess, where maybe the players we want are high owned and it's just the bottom of the order that's not. And so that's when it becomes a little tricky.
Yeah, so you've got McMahon, which makes a great segue going over to second base with Whit Merrifield at the top. McMahon there, who also has been hitting pretty darn well in some spots this season. A little slower of late, but Ozzie Albies now hitting in the 4-hole. What are you kind of looking at for second base here? Getting down to some of the more value options in the mid-range there, up and down the entire lineup. Jed Lowry, somebody that sticks out. Also, Oakland Athletics, just love them today.
Oh, is that me? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, Alex. Yeah, I was just jumping right back to you. I was doing so good. Gundacker called me out last week. He's like, Eric, you got to say my name. You got to say my name. And so now I'm now like forgetting the boss man. Alex, please go. There we are. Wow. Yeah, I have one more shot. All
right. So, Oakland. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, they're in Camden Yards, so that's a great park. And then Jorge Lopez at pitcher. He has some good strikeout stuff, but it looks like his xFIP has been pretty rough over the past 50 innings that he's pitched in this past year. So I see this as a great spot to go to the Athletics, and they got some guys that are mispriced too, like Mitch Moreland at 3,100 on DraftKings and on FanDuel. That looks really appealing.
Yeah, I love it. Gundacker, how about yourself? Anybody kind of in that mid-range, lower range that you're looking at for second base?
I'm with you on the Athletics too. Jed Lowry has just a knack for getting multiple hits in the game. It's incredible. I have Jonathan Scope if you want to get a little creative as a guy that could hit for some power today. Outside of that, it seems like the most shallow position on the slate where we're just going to kind of get forced into like Ryan McMahon's and, maybe a Jeff McNeil, something like that. There's not like a lot of top end talent just sticking out. So this might be a little bit more of a position that ends up with higher ownership just because of the lack of options. I got Lowry, McMahon, a little bit of Scope here, and that's it. Like it's a very uninspiring position today.
Sounds about right. Heading over to third base, Devers, Justin Turner, Jose Ramirez, Donaldson. So many places to go at third base here. I guess for me, Alex Bregman really sticks out as well. I really like the way that he's been hitting of late. 326 on the season, 870 OPS. Pretty good spot for him there up against Heaney, a lefty. Again, another team where you could kind of go to both sides of it if you wanted to take some shots. But what are you kind of thinking with third base on the cornerstone position, Alex?
Okay, so I got distracted for a sec because there is a Top Shot drop that's happening in 30 minutes here.
Oh,
so
God.
if you guys are into that, make sure to check it out.
Are we into that?
Good call.
Into that?
It's hard to not be into it.
Does Tiger Woods wear red on Sundays?
It's like you just get a pack and you get free money. So don't have to really sell you guys on that. But okay, at third, one guy that's kind of jumping out at me is Gio Urshela. He's batting fifth for the Yankees. And he's a guy that he had a really slow start in the league, but now he's a pretty decent power hitter and batting fifth with a positive platoon versus Logan Allen, who hasn't shown a ton. I mean, the price is just too good to pass up.
I want to piggyback. Did anybody get a premium pack yesterday? I did not.
Yeah, no. I did.
I got a rebound.
Yep, I got a rebound. It's disgusting. I'm not happy about it. Anyway, Gundacker, please talk about third base while I lament my life.
Yeah, Alex Bregman's at the top of the bomb chart for me on third base. J-Ram, Machado, it's the regular share. Looking through, trying to get a little bit more creative. Again, Ryan McMahon pops up. Maybe is that Braves lineup confirmed? Austin Riley might be a fun name. Riley.
Yep. He's in the 7 hole. Yep.
Yeah, he might be a fun name to get behind. I'm there on Gio. Alex mentioned Gio Urshela betting fifth. Nice little death row of righties in front of him for the Yankees. I know Yankees are projecting the worst at everything right now. But against a lefty, man, 1 through 6 can get, or even 1 through 7. That's a dangerous lineup if they drink some of that get right juice. And Gio Urshela has been one of their better hit for average guys in the last 2 years. So definitely could knock in some runs if he gets an opportunity with runners on. So I like that call. And he had a day of rest yesterday.
I love doing shows with you. It's just ridiculous. All right. Top end of shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. I can't even focus. This is great. Xander Bogaerts up against Kikuchi in the 4 hole. Great spot. Xander, your highest price shortstop over on the slate on DraftKings. Working our way down, Bo Bichette, who just hits homers. But again, Tampa Bay against Glass now, not ideal. Corey Seager up against Yu Darvish would make a nice contrarian option. Tim Anderson up against Dunning. That's another spot that kind of sticks out. This top end of shortstop is pretty darn loaded. And then also Tatis up against Kershaw, as much as I was talking about Kershaw earlier. Definitely some home run potential down there at 4,600 as he starts to get back into the swing of things. Who are you looking at shortstop, Alex?
The guy you got to know at shortstop today is Zach Short. He's batting second for the Tigers. And I never heard of him until today, but he's 2K and he's batting second. That's pretty much all you need to know. But the matchup, he does have the positive platoon split, which we like to see. And Mike Minor, he is, I'd say, average pitcher. So it looks like his xFIP has been around 5 the past couple seasons. So looking good for Zach Short. There was no AAA season last year, so we don't have any stats from last year. But in 2019, he kind of worked his way up from AA to AAA, and he had 200 ISO at AAA. So he does have some pop. So I'm thinking just really underpriced guy today.
Yeah, I really like that call. I think Detroit might be one of your stacks you're looking at to pair with some of those top priced options going to the deGrom Glass now kind of pairing that you were looking at, Gundacker. How about yourself? Anybody else at shortstop for you? Yeah, 2K is a pretty good call.
Yeah, so on Fanduel and Draftkings, there's a $2,000 price difference between Carlos Correa. He's 3K on Fanduel, 5K on DraftKings. So on Fanduel, I see myself getting behind a little chunk of Correa. He's led off yesterday, did fine. He's going to lead off again today. And Mike Trout being out is also a defensive hit because he's an elite center field defender. So Heaney's already a guy that, if we go back to last year, will allow a 20+% line drive rate to righties and over 40% fly ball rate, all on top of one of the highest hard contact rates allowed. So it is a spot for maybe Correa to jump on one of those first pitches and get ahead of one. And then if he got on, he's got a professional hitter and Michael Brantley behind him. And we've already talked about how good Bregman profile. So Correa leading off really well. And I really think Correa is a great value on FanDuel.
Yeah, agreed. Before we head over to Outfield, I know that we don't have money time, sadly. I cannot steal that bit. We can steal the year. We can steal that because apparently that's like a customary greeting of New Yorkers. Oh, wait, let's go.
We got cash money time.
We got cash money time. Cash register. What, Tyler, what are you even doing? It's fine. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, the faux cash register sound. It's fine, but it is cash with a K money time. Absolutely love it. Did not expect such things. But what you should do, the make cash money time. Free content and promotion today. We have UFC 261. We have Usman and Masvidal. It's set for April 24th. That's tomorrow. And if you get the MMA monthly pass, you can get 50 month off your first month of Awesemo Plus MMA when you use the promo code UFC 261. That's $14.95 for 30 days of Awesemo Plus MMA. And this package includes full access, including fighter projections, ownership projections, the top fighters tool, which is awesome for noobs at MMA like me, lineup builder, and your premium Slack channel, which you should be using already if you're part of the MMA space or if you're part of the Awesemo family. This offer is valid through Saturday, April 24th. So stop guessing, start winning, and definitely take some cash money home this weekend. I believe we have, everything MMA is going to be behind the paywall there. We have the fighter rankings, which will be available, but that top fighters tool is going to be a big, big deal for tomorrow. So definitely enjoy it. Definitely take advantage. That guy, Alex Baker's pretty good at DFS. We have DeColts, who's just been raking in the MMA money as well. So check that out. Going over to Outfield, let's just start talking some dong picks here because, I mean, Outfield on a 14-game slate is always going to be loaded. That's just kind of the way that it is. You have Bryce Harper sitting there in Coors. You have Mike Trout, who just got scratched, which is kind of an interesting little caveat there. Curious how that Angels lineup is going to look without him. JD Martinez, Byron Buxton, Mookie Betts. So many guys to be going to at the top end. Alex, anybody that really sticks out to you that you want to be paying up for nice one-offs, parts of stacks, anything you want to talk about?
I mean, let's see. Acuna is kind of the top projected guy. I mean, that's not going to tell you guys much. He's a top salary guy as well. But going down the list a tiny bit, we get to Mitch Haniger. He's batting first versus Boston, who's running at Martin Perez. Martin Perez is a below average pitcher who doesn't really strike guys out. So Mitch Haniger has been hitting for 289 ISO so far this year. Steal a bag or two once in a while too. So very high upside player, getting a ton of plate appearances in Fenway. I mean, what's not to love?
That is an absolute fact. Gundacker, how about for yourself in that top to mid range?
Man, I want to get behind some of these Mets bats, but then you remember deGrom's pitching, and they might not bring their bats with them. So I do like Brandon Nimmo matchup wise. Some power wise, some names that are kind of sticking out that aren't like everyday names. Jordan Luplow, Adam Duvall's up here. Seth Brown, we mentioned Oakland's going to pop really, really great. Outside, it's a lot of the household names. I'm kind of interested in Byron Buxton. I think he's just been really, really good. He's kind of up there. We got a couple of SP2 price bats today. We talked about Acuna, Freeman, but Buxton's up there as well. Behind Buxton is Alex Kirilloff, who I'm assuming is one of their higher prospect guys, because you don't just get thrown into the 5 spot with guys like Polanco and Mitch Garver. So at bare bones min price in the middle of the lineup, he's probably somebody I'm going to lean on quite a bit. Because that's just an incredible opportunity salary wise. And then, yeah, that's probably it. Like I want to get to those household names more than not, but Kirilloff is very intriguing to me. If I'm saying
love that as well. I'm looking at a guy like Franmil Reyes too, a 288 ISO right now so far in 64 plate appearances, sitting up there going against Jordan Montgomery. That's a place that I think being invested in is not so bad. Nice little one-off in that Cleveland lineup. Anybody else now working our way down? I do want to ask one thing because, I play a lot of DFS myself, Alex, and I just want to learn from you and Gundacker, just two of the best of MLB DFS. What do you think about one-offs in Coors Field? Because that feels like something that I always, when I'm building like one or two massive like single entries that I'm trying to target for like bigger field GPPs. And I always feel uncomfortable when you see a guy who's cheap like Charlie Blackmon, who hasn't been hitting well specifically this year, who's going to be garnering ownership. What do you kind of think about your one-offs in Coors Field?
So my rule for one-offs generally is I'll prefer the one-offs if it does let me basically I don't have enough money to spend on another player from the stacks I have. So I'm more targeting the low end, Kirilloff or Short. One guy that's really popping off in Coors salary wise is Raimel Tapia. He's batting first for the Rockies, and he's not really a power guy, but it is Coors Field. He's going to get a lot of plate appearances, and he can steal some bags. So 3K is a bargain.
Gundacker, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I will probably have a dumb amount of Kirilloff. And then Tommy Pham's in the mix for me as well. The question was about one-offs and Coors.
Yeah, just kind of one-offs in general. I think we all also MMA. It's on the brain now. Definitely check out that package. But anyway, MME, making a lot of lineups. I think getting exposure to the entire package rather than just making one. But when I'm on an NBA Live before a lock show, I try to build one or two big single entries. And I'm just trying to get better at that part of my game. And didn't know if you had any experience talking about like one-offs in general, trying to either target popular guys or kind of what your process is for identifying them. Because somebody like Charlie Blackmon is popping, and I'm just concerned about playing him necessarily as a one-off.
Nah, if so in that scenario, like in a single entry, if it's like less than 1,000 or 2,000 entries in the field, then I really focus on just having the best plays. So if it means stacking, sure, but a lot of times I find myself with handcuffs, 2 guys here, 2 guys there, just positive correlation between the two. So like maybe a Blackmon and a McMahon or something like that, because they can still touch each other with RBIs. But yeah, I'm fine with one-offs. I think on a slate as vast as this, you kind of get you kind of fall into more one-offs than not, because it's just 28 teams to choose from, and we got lucky with weather too, by the way, knock on wood. But on like a smaller slate, I think that's where the one-off game theory kind of comes into play, where maybe you want to leverage a popular stack by just grabbing one of the bats there, so you have a little bit of exposure to what you think is the best piece of that, and then you're going elsewhere. So yeah, I'm in one-offs, but I do think the bigger the slate, the harder it is to not have everyone kind of look like a one-off on a 14 gamer in a single entry.
Love it. So I'm going to go right back to you here. We got to start calling our double dongs before we start getting questions. So guys, start loading those questions in here. If you have anything that you want to ask them here, we still have 2 hours before lock, or a little less than 2 hours now here at this point in time. So load your questions up so we can get to those. But Gundacker, double dong, who's your call? I've got my Franmil Reyes call, so I'm locking him in. Who is the guy who's guaranteed? Because we're here for guarantees. That's the cash money way. What is your double dong for today?
Matt Olson, snap call, all in. Matt Olson.
Let's go. Love it. Alex, how about for you?
I'll take a flyer on this guy Kirilloff. I see it on Fangraphs. They give him 60 out of 60 raw power. So I feel like with 2019 not having any recorded stats, there's a lot of uncertainty here. But the fact that the Twins are batting him 5th tells me all I need to know, that they have a ton of confidence in him. So I think maybe he'll have a pretty good MLB first start here.
I'm excited for it. Very, very excited to be watching that game tonight. First question right off the bat. So Eric Johnson is just coming in late here. You said he missed starting pitchers. Who are your top spends on DK, Alex?
So a couple of guys that I didn't touch on yet that I'm kind of feeling at like dirt cheap guys. One is Mike Minor. Anytime you can get a pitcher versus the Tigers, I mean, that's gonna look pretty good. They strike out more than average, and they have one of the worst lineups in the league. So I do feel like Mike Minor is significantly underpriced on both sites. And then the other one that I'm targeting that I didn't mention yet is Dylan Cease, 6,600 on both sites, going up against Texas. It's the same thing where Texas lineup just is pretty crap. So Cease, he has been picking up the performance a little bit this year. So I'm willing to take some shots there.
Gundacker, how about for you?
So, I mean, the question was spend up, right? So deGrom,
or just who are your top spends? Yeah, I mean, I think if he needs him, I don't think he needs anybody to tell him to play Jacob deGrom is probably what we're at.
Right.
But if there's anybody else that you kind of had your eye on to maybe get some leverage on.
Yeah, so in that same game, Alex, I don't know if you've looked at maybe Dane Dunning a little bit. I would love to feel like him getting more than 80 pitches is a range of outcomes, but his underlying metrics in 15 innings so far has been really, really good. A 304 Sierra, 308 xFIP, swing and strike rate's 10%, which is not great, but it's not bad. Really good whip. He's throwing strikes. If you're really just trying to, he's almost a hitter's price. If you're just trying to get, home run points at a hitter's price point, 14 is something that he's exceeded in all 3 starts thus far. So maybe, if we're getting creative, maybe he's somebody that enters the mix for me, but I'm going to try and create the highest floor possible tonight with the high end guys. But Dunning was also kind of poking at me. And since, Alex is bringing up a couple of creative guys, I thought I'd chime that one in there as well.
You want to piggyback off that one, Alex? What do you think about Dunning?
I think talented prospect here, and his strikeout rate has been really high this year so far. Been pitching really well. But the pitch count that Gunn mentioned is a big concern here. So I'm a little bit worried he doesn't go deep enough.
Yeah, that seems to be, pitch count is such an issue this time of the season as everybody's getting worked up. Also the 2021 baseball way, it seems, unless your name's Jacob deGrom and then you're just God. So that's fun. Anybody else for you guys that we wanted to cover for pitching here? Any other stacks? Maybe just a general slate overview, Gundacker. Anything else that you want to go to before we really turn it over to questions?
Stack wise, I'm Coors Athletics, the obligatory Yankee stack because I'm also a sucker for the Twins. So like in my household, Twins and Yankees are what we live for. And the Yankees let me down, the Twins have let me down. So it's been double pain. But you look at these lineups, even on the Twins side, Donaldson, Cruz, Buxton, there's so much talent. And the same with this Yankees death row of power righties against a lefty. You feel like they can't be this bad forever. So maybe if the field's finally given up on some of these bats, especially on the Yankee side, I could maybe take advantage of Progressive Park and maybe get them before everyone else gets them. But those are kind of the first couple stacks sticking out.
Yeah, I had my heart fall through my chest when Nelson Cruz got hit by a pitch on the foot and he started limping around. He continued to still bat phenomenally well in that game, put up 32 DraftKings points on the 21st, the day after there. Ended up getting pulled out to get pinch hit for in that 13-12 game, which was just absolutely outrageous. That entire game. 12-10 and then 3 runs in the bottom half. I mean, the Twins find new and interesting ways to break your heart. It just is the way that it is. But Nelson Cruz, nice to see him back in the lineup there. Very, very excited about the Twins to stack as well. Anything that really sticks out for you to cover before we do questions as well, Alex?
So I think I might not have been nuanced enough before because I was looking at the FanDuel top stacks, and Colorado and Philadelphia are low on there relative to their chances tonight. And I kind of like them because I am feeling some of the low price pitchers. Of course, deGrom is pretty hard to fade too. So I'm going to kind of have 2 different types of lineups on FanDuel. One where I spend up on deGrom, and the other is I'm going to spend down and try to get some expensive stacks. On DraftKings, Coors is super chalk. So about 27% of all batters